while eating and then form the raid. And we're going to do level 2. But let's watch this and enjoy the pancakes. Right? Thank you so much. Looks really good.
Friends and fellow adventurers, there has been some massive new information uncovered about the state of balance in Phase 4 of Season of Discovery. With the new fire resistance requirements in Molten Core, the shift in power has been enormous across the board. Let's talk about the very strongest classes in Phase 4 right now. So the big unexpected change since our previous DPS tier list is that fire resistance requirements are creating a huge shift. For one thing, the fights are longer on average, and also some classes, they benefit more from the different gear swaps than others. We've really talked extensively in the previous DPS tier list about utility, about AoE damage, and I'll link that video up here in the top right. But recently I was inspired by a Sarth tweet, and this idea of DPS misinformation going around, and really which classes are actually the strongest with the fire resistance requirements.
Inspired by a Sarth
I also wanted to look at the exact endgame projections for every single class. So if you have your full fire resistance, how can you expect to perform at the true BIS level? We're going to rank everything from the B tier all the way to the S tier, and we're going to be starting in the B tier with Priest.
What?
So really, Shadow Priests are always expected to perform really well at the start of a phase, when nobody really has any gear.
Fuck, dude.
Right now though, the highest performing Shadow Priest is only ranked 33rd in the world, and they're getting destroyed by Pharaohs, by Rogues, and by Hunters. The saving grace, though, is that Shadow Priests really do carry the raid with utility. They're infinite mana with Vampiric Touch,
like providing
and of course,
utility.
enormous magic dispels. So projecting endgame Shadow Priest, their top-end damage is somewhere around 3,400. One way to significantly increase that damage, though, would be Power Infusion. So if you Power Infusion a Shadow Priest, a few seconds before the pull, every single one of their dots that they apply will be perma-snapshotted. So that damage will be increased for the entirety of the fight, up to about 200 additional DPS. Also in the B tier, we have the Elemental Shamans. The highest ranked LA Shaman in the world right now is a disappointing 343. They also lag 800 DPS behind the highest Enhanced Shaman.
How are they B tier? If Shadow Priest is top 33, and then Ellie is top 300, how are we on the same level? How is that fair?
With their role of Mana Battery being completely replaced by Shadow Priests, and with their Fire Resistance Totem being deemed a little bit too unreliable for raids, this is not the best time to be playing LA Shaman, at least not yet. So projecting the future of LA Shamans, Blizzard definitely knows LA Shamans are too weak right now. Last minute, pre-launch, Blizzard rushed to give them the Law of Nature 30 spell power shield enchant. But more is definitely needed, as LA Shamans are projected to cap out around 2,700 DPS, which is very close to the bottom of the pack. Talking Boomkins, the highest rated Boomkin in the world is currently 170. That might be why the Boomkin Discord is currently renamed the Doomkin Discord. But in a world where nobody wants to decurse, it does seem like Boomkins have a relatively safe role in the raid. So projected DPS for Doomkins is somewhere in the 2,600 range. Not looking good, and buffs are very likely in the near future.
2,600 when Shadow's doing 3,400. That's really bad. Like, again, I don't know why he's putting them on the same tier. Like, I don't know.
So talking Ret Paladins, the reality is we've never had more build variety, but also the reality is Ret Paladins are just kind of weak right now. There's only one Ret Paladin in the top 200 logs right now.
Really?
But even more alarming, Feral Druids are quickly encroaching on Ret Paladin territory, claiming that Hand of Rag should be prio to Ferals instead of Rets. So current Ret projections put Ret Paladin at about 3,600 DPS, which seems really respectable. Simulators, though, expect perfection in gameplay, and the reality is that Ret Paladins likely need some buffs to reach those numbers. Moving into the A tier, we have Warlocks. So there are 4 Destro Locks in the top 100 and 1 very overachieving Affliction Lock. That lone Affliction Lock has pushed his way all the way to top 13 in the world. He's showing 2 key Warlock facts. First, Warlocks are definitely the second best caster in the game right now. Second, if you really want to parse, you've definitely got to have a support Warlock pumping out the curses. That's really the only way you're going to max out your DPS. So projected DPS for Warlocks is 3,200. Very solid DPS for a caster, only lagging behind mages. Combined with their insane utility, their
Bro, wasn't Shadow 3,400? It's more.
There really is no lower supply, higher demand class in the game right now.
Yeah.
So talking warriors, the highest warrior in the game right now is only ranked 26. which is far behind where you expect warriors to be in the endgame. Hope definitely remains though. If you sim a warrior with full world buffs, they do about 1100 more DPS. So once we start seeing fully buffed, full bis warriors, I think it's going to be another story. So talking mages, 2 of the top 12 parses right now are fire mages. Unfortunately, if there's one thing holding fire mages back, it is decursing. Because there's no healing going on in the raid, healers are being dropped like crazy, and unfortunately mages are going to have to pick up the slack in decursing. Talking projected DPS, compared to your true biz set, you really only lose about 80 DPS adding in the fire resistance. It's almost like the flare core you have to run is so strong because Blizzard wanted to secretly buff caster classes.
No, Jerome, it's not because of that. Because the mages, they use mage armor, so they get resistance from it. And also they can use 25 res scrolls. So they have a lot of resistance already. That's why.
Talking enhanced shamans, I know the Alliance, and particularly the Rets, they want to say enhanced are totally broken right now. The reality, though, is that only 4 of the top 100 parses right now are enhanced shamans. You're not going to find any shamans complaining, though. They're just locked in this endless debate between dual wielding or getting Hand of Rag. So with their full fire res set...
I mean... I guess Hand of Rag for enhanced is pretty cool, though. Yeah, it is pretty cool.
Enhanced shamans are projected near 3,700 DPS, which is very strong. Factoring in the current performance and their sims as well, it does definitely seem like enhanced will be outperforming Rets' phase. So that's really all the ammo you need for your faction balance debate. So moving into the S tier, we have Feral Druids, and already 10 of the top 100 parses are Ferals. Better yet, not a single one of these top 10 Ferals had a Hand of Rag yet. That's a really promising sign, because in SoD, Ferals get a huge DPS increase from Hand of Rag. So talking projected DPS, a lot of the lists before the raid came out expected 0.5 gear sets, but with the fire res requirements, there's been a definite shift towards the tier 1 set, because it has so much built-in fire res. Honestly, not bad news, because the tier 1 set for Ferals is insanely good, so there's really no DPS drop-off. So talking rogues, the 3rd highest parse in the world right now is a Mutilate Blasting Rogue, and 13 of the top 100 parses are rogues as well.
Yeah,
so Sarth brought up a good reason why rogues are so strong right now. Their pre-bis gear was super overpowered. The Fell Striker, the Devil Core, the 0.5. So talking projected DPS, with Mutilate, they sim out at about 4150 DPS, and even the Saber Slash build sims over 4,000 damage per second. In another week or two, we're going to start to see some of these rogues get full bis gear, and we're really going to start to see their full potential be up.
It's one of the least played classes, bro. It's so weird. Like, no one plays rogue, but it's like the best. Like, people don't play it. Like, my guild is literally constantly recruiting rogues. They can't find any rogues. So we're only running like 1 rogue per raid, and then the rogues can't even do this much damage because they have to like put expose and shit. You lose like 500 to 600 DPS when you expose, and if you have to like and we also don't have a dream state druid, just 20% more nature damage. Like, honestly, if you want to play rogue, don't play fucking alliance. Don't listen to me, bro. Don't play alliance rogue. It's so fucking bad. You don't have orc, you don't have enhancement shamans giving you better totems than might, and you also don't have dream state all the time. It's so much worse. Play alliance rogue than horde rogue. It's like actually unreal.
Unlocked. So last but not least, in the S tier, we have the Hunters.
Like hard mode.
So 7 of the top 10 parses right now are Hunters. I definitely underestimated how insanely strong they'd be, especially with explosive trap. Whether it's fair or not, Hunters have been the biggest recipient of complaints so far. Their absolute dominance in Alterac Valley can't be helping matters either. So with their max fire res build, Hunters are simming about 4,000 DPS.
That's crazy,
really similar to Rogues. So we're probably assuming Hunters get nerfed, but I would love to hear from you guys on which class...
Bro, they're like simming as high as like a Mutilate rogue with Fell Striker with like perfect conditions, and they can also do insane AoE. Okay, bro, sounds good.
Needs the biggest buffs in the next patch.
Yeah.
For me, I'd definitely say Ellie Shamans. I know I'm horde biased, but who's really bringing Ellies to the raids now? So either way, whatever class you pick, from an...
I like how he didn't even mention Melee Hunter. Like, he's mentioned every spec except Melee Hunter. That kind of shows chat, like, you know, it's like, it's kind of
underdog Ellie Shaman to an overpowered hunter. You have to remember that this balance is definitely
Only
temporary.
spec that's all mentioned.
Whether in upcoming balance
I guess
patches or the Phase
Arcane
5
and Frost-
BWL, there
Arcane
is
Mage,
no
right?
way this is the
Frost Mage
final
and
state of the
Fire Mage
game.
somewhere.
Thanks so much for watching.
And
Make
arms,
sure to
yeah,
lock in and
arms as well.
subscribe, because
Arms
I've
is
got
bad.
some secret gold making
Arms
videos
is
coming
bad.
soon. Then click on the ultimate Phase 4 guide for
It's not a bad
exactly
tier
what
list.
to do. The minute you click
It's like based on DPS, but like Shadow is I think Shadow is A tier DPS. Like once they get their sub bonus, like because like they're way better than who was B tier. So like I mean you saw right, they were like 30. They were like simming more than Warlocks, and Warlocks are A tier. So how does it make any sense?